Are you ready? The audience is waiting.
I think so.
What's wrong?
I'm not sure they'll like the truth in it.
Maybe, but they'll need to hear it.
Do you really think so?
I do. Now, come on, walk in.
Alright, let's do this. Everything you know about the manhole cover is wrong. Let me tell you why. The second fastest man-made object is the manhole cover. Manhole cover nuke test, look it up. I hope the manhole cover made it into space. Long before Apollo astronauts walked on the moon, the United States was conducting a series of nuclear tests deep in the Nevada desert. One of these tests was known as Project Pascal. The year was 1957, and scientists wanted to understand what would happen if a nuclear explosion occurred underground. To perform the experiment, they drilled a shaft nearly 500 feet deep into the earth. At the bottom of this shaft sat a nuclear device, while the top was sealed with a massive steel cap. When they talk about a steel cap, this is the manhole cover. This wasn't a lightweight lid. It weighed nearly a ton and was designed to contain the immense pressure generated by the explosion. At least, that was the plan. When the nuclear device detonated, the results were unlike anything anyone expected. The explosion instantly created temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. A massive plume of superheated gas raced upwards through the shaft. And then something astonishing happened. The steel cap was blasted into the sky. Not gradually, it was blasted upwards almost instantly. The only evidence scientists had was a high-speed camera pointed at the shaft. The camera was taking a single frame every millisecond. When researchers reviewed the footage, they found something unbelievable. The cap appeared in one frame, and in the next one, it was gone. Completely gone. It had moved out of view so quickly that there was no second image. That single frame would become one of the most famous images in space history. Now, here's where things get really interesting. A physicist named Robert Brownlee later calculated the speed of the cap. Based on the footage and the time in between frames, he estimated that the steel plate could have been traveling at more than 125,000 miles per hour, or around 200,000 kilometers per hour. To put that into perspective, Earth's escape velocity is only around 25,000 miles per hour. If Brownlee's estimate was correct, the cap wasn't just moving fast, it was moving roughly 5 times faster than the speed needed to leave Earth forever. That would make it the first human-made object to reach space, months before Sputnik and years before the first astronaut. A simple manhole cover may have beaten them all, but there's a problem, and that problem is physics. Traveling fast enough to reach space is only part of the story, you also have to survive the trip. And that's where the manhole cover likely met its fate. You see, as the cap shot upwards, it would have slammed directly into Earth's atmosphere at an unimaginable speed. At those velocities, the air itself becomes a wall. The molecules in front of an object can't move out of the way fast enough. Instead, they compress violently, creating enormous heat. The same thing happens when meteors enters Earth's atmosphere. Many meteors are large chunks of rock and metal, yet they often burn up completely before reaching the ground. The manhole cover faced an even more extreme situation. Unlike a spacecraft, it had no heat shield, no protective coating, and no aerodynamic design. It was essentially a giant steel disc being fired into the atmosphere faster than most meteors travel. Scientists today generally believe the cap never made it into space. Instead, it likely vaporized almost instantly. The tremendous heat generated by the atmospheric compression probably turned the steel into molten metal and then into vapor. In other words, the fastest journey in human history may have ended within seconds. The object accelerated to an incredible speed, shot upwards through the atmosphere, and simply disappeared. Gone before anyone could track it, gone before anyone could recover it, and gone before anyone could even confirm exactly what happened. And yet, the mystery remains because nobody ever found the cap. No wreckage, there's been no fragments, no impact craters, nothing. The evidence consists of a single blurry frame and the calculations of the scientists involved. Some people like to imagine against all odds the cap survived, that it escaped Earth's atmosphere and is still traveling through space today, a lonely steel disc drifting through the planets. While that's an entertaining idea, most experts agree it's extremely unlikely. The atmosphere was simply too unforgiving. The cap wasn't designed for spaceflight. It was designed to sit on top of a hole in the ground. Still, the story captures people's imagination because it highlights something fascinating about science. Sometimes the most extraordinary discoveries happen by accident. The scientists behind Project Pascal weren't trying to launch an object into space. They weren't building a spacecraft. They were studying underground nuclear explosions. Yet, for the brief moment, they may have accidentally created the fastest human-made object ever. Even today, more than half a century later, the manhole cover remains one of the most strangest and most memorable stories in scientific history. A story involving nuclear explosions, impossible speeds, and a mystery that was over almost before they began.